Like their Zhao predecessors, Shang rulers also relied on a large corps of political allies. The Shang state rested on a vast network of walled towns whose local rulers recognized the authority of the Shang kings. During the course of the dynasty, Shang kings may have controlled 1,000 or more towns. Apart from local rulers of these towns, others who shared the agricultural surplus of Shang China included administrators, advisors, craftsmen, and metalsmiths, who in their various ways helped Shang rulers shape policy or spread their influence throughout their realm. Shang society revolved around several large cities. According to tradition, the Shang capital moved 6 times during the course of the dynasty. Though originally chosen for the political and military reasons, in each case, the capital also became an important social, economic, and cultural center. The site not only of administration and military command, but also of bronze foundries, arts, crafts, trade, and religious observances.
You're suing Young D, right? I'm the rebel leader conquering Chang'an. Oh. What's up? China's ours now.
In justifying the deposition of the Shang, spokesman for the Zhao dynasty articulated a set of principles that influenced Chinese thinking about government and political legitimacy over the long term. The Zhao theory of politics rested on the assumption that earthly events were closely related to heavenly affairs. More specifically, heavenly powers granted the right to govern the mandate of heaven to an especially deserving individual known as the Son of Heaven. The ruler then served as a link between heaven and earth. He had the duty to govern conscientiously, observe high standards of honor and justice, and maintain order and harmony within his realm. As long as he did so, the heavenly powers would approve of his work. The cosmos would enjoy a harmonious and well-balanced stability, and the ruling dynasty would retain its mandate to govern. If a ruler failed in his duties, however, chaos and suffering would afflict his realm. Cosmos would fall out of balance, and the displeased heavenly powers would withdraw the mandate to rule and transfer it to a more deserving candidate. On the basis of this reasoning, spokesmen for the new dynasty explained the fall of the Shang and the transfer of the mandate of heaven to the Zhao. Until the 20th century, Chinese ruling houses emulated the Zhao dynasty by claiming the mandate of heaven for their rule, and emperors took the title Son of Heaven.
Under arrest! Chapter 15.
The samurai were professional warriors, specialists in the use of force and the art of fighting. They served the provincial lords of Japan, who relied on the samurai both to enforce their authority in their own territories and to extend their claims to other lands. In return for these police and military services, the lords supported the samurai from the agricultural surplus and labor services of peasants working under their jurisdiction. Freed of obligations to feed, clothe, and house themselves and their families, samurais devoted themselves to hunting, riding, archery, and martial arts. Thus, although it had taken its original inspiration from the Tang Empire in China, the Japanese political order developed along lines different from those of the Middle Kingdom. Yet Japan clearly had a place in the larger East Asian society centered on China, Japan borrowed from China, among other things, Confucian values, Buddhist religion, a system of writing, and the ideal of centralized imperial rule. Though somewhat suppressed during the Kamakura and Muromachi periods, these elements of Chinese society not only survived in Japan but also decisively influenced Japanese development during later periods. Buddhism attracted Chinese interest partly because of its high standards of morality. Its intellectual sophistication and its promise of salvation, practical concerns also helped to account for its appeal. Buddhists established monastic communities in China and accumulated sizable estates donated by wealthy converts. They cultivated these lands intensely and stored a portion of their harvest for distribution among local residents during the times of drought, famine, and other hardship. Buddhist monasteries thus became important elements in the local economies of Chinese communities. In some ways, Buddhism posed a challenge to Chinese cultural and social traditions. Buddhist theologians typically took written tests as points of departure for elaborate into metaphysical themes such as the nature of the soul. Among Chinese intellectuals, however, only the Confucians placed great emphasis on written texts. They devoted their energies mostly to practical rather than metaphysical issues. Meanwhile, Taoists had limited interest in written texts of any kind. Buddhist morality called for individuals to strive for perfection by observing an ascetic ideal, and it encouraged serious Buddhists to follow a celibate monastic lifestyle. By contrast, Chinese morality centered on the family unit and the obligations of filial piety. And it is strongly encouraged procreation so that generations of offspring would be available to venerate family ancestors. Some Chinese held that Buddhist monasteries were economically harmful since they paid no taxes, whereas others scorned Buddhism as an inferior creed because of its foreign origins.